Hey everyone, Adam Hooper here again from the Sperm Donation Australia community and Sperm Donation World website. Uh, like in my community, we get a lot of people join and they want to know what testing and what stuff needs to be done for the donor, such as STD testing and medical history and all that sort of thing. Uh, this day and age, when someone goes, "I can have a medical history report," especially in Australia, for instance, the doctor doesn't sit there and write a bloody presentation out or a story about your life and stuff like that. It doesn't really work like that, and a lot of it's about honesty and obviously your family's medical history as well. Unless you're a guarantor of your parents or a family member, you don't have access. So you can't go into the doctor and say to your doctor, "Oh, can I get information about my mum or my dad?" It doesn't work like that. You don't get access of anyone else's family apart from your own. People think when you go to a sperm bank or a clinic that they have access to this. This isn't the case. Most places you'll go to as a donor, you would check into the sperm bank and they'll sit down with you and they'd write out a family tree. So they'd say, do you have any brothers and sisters? And then you're writing your sibling line there, your mother and father, do they have any siblings? So then your auntie and your uncle from that side and this side, then obviously works out to that side of, your grandparents and as many people that they want to go into detail with. And then they go for each person and say, okay, what about your mother? Has she had any illnesses? Okay, or your granddad had cancer. Okay, so we write that down there. So then that's how they get it. It's an honesty system. And, a lot of men have said to me that have donated at clinics that they withheld information because they've already jumped through a lot of hoops and they're worried about getting rejected through clinics. So, and then also there was people that had honest mistakes and honestly didn't, and then they didn't think of it at the time, and they remembered something significant later, which obviously didn't get put on the file. So, anyhow, we live in the world now where technology is advancing pretty well. I've done MyHeritage in the past. Online companies now can do samples of your DNA and you send them away, and it does a lot of, it genome maps your whole centum organs or however they call it, what's the measuring factor of all your layers of DNA, and breaks down whereabouts you got your DNA from, and that's where they work out your ancestry lines as well, where certain parts of DNA come from, and they put down. Uh, so in the past, we used to go to doctors and get recommendations for genetic testing, which would cost anywhere between $390 and up to 550, roughly ballpark figure, to get your genetics tested. And clinics as well. If you're a donor, you'd go in there and you get your genetics tested. In Australia, they still accept donors now. Well, because most clinics will accept donors now that are carriers of genes, and they'll put that on file. So then, when they genetic test you, then if you have, say, for instance, the cystic fibrosis gene and the donor had the cystic fibrosis gene, then they won't pair you up. However, if your donor has a cystic fibrosis gene and you don't, then they will pair you up. Problem with that is okay, the chances of your child getting cystic fibrosis is low, but you're exposing your child being a carrier of the gene, or being a carrier of the gene for the next generation. And if they have a partner and they don't get genetic testing and they have the cystic fibrosis also, then you may have grandchildren that inherit this disease. Genetic uh, mutations like cystic fibrosis that affect people, it could be wiped out if it was mandatory for everyone to get DNA tested, genetic tested. if we all got that, then obviously it's a mutation that would get phased out. But obviously, how many people do you know that have conceived naturally that went and got genetic testing done? Most of us don't. I know my parents didn't when they had me. Touch wood, I came out all right, so I haven't had any. Well, my heritage results say I haven't inherited any carrier genes, which I'm very blessed for and lucky. But there's many cultures that do have more chances of having defective genes. There's a lot of Jewish uh, hereditary uh, diseases, so or gene mutation. So when you if you had a Jewish heritage, and this is only an example, nothing against Jews or anything, but if you had, you got more chance of passing on like a smaller mutation, perhaps when compared to if you use a donor with different diversity. I think sometimes we like to also pick a donor that may have the same ancestral history as ourselves or our partner and stuff like that. However, diversity can actually be better, but that's just the general scope anyway. But if you do your genetic testing and you don't adjust your genetic testing, then it doesn't really matter what, you covered your bases. So clinics in Australia are a bit different to clinics in America. As I said before, we will accept, they will accept, or most will accept. I'll just be, put it technically out there, that will accept donors now because we don't pay donors in Australia to donate their sperm. And there's no real incentive for donors now to go through clinics. Many of the donors now come through Sperm Donation Australia. This way they feel more comfortable in picking who they want to help and vice versa as well. So compared to donating at a clinic, a lot of people are worried about that and they have a lot of mental anguish that affects them because they start to wonder if the child went to a good home and stuff like that, which they have no idea to at the clinic. And this is why the trends now are changing. And why clinics in Australia are becoming more desperate and accepting men of all ages now, whereas before there used to be cut-off marks at most of them, at most clinics. Now we sort of accept whoever comes through the door, and we're accepting men with genetic mutations. Look, it's quite common for some people to have between 3 to 5, up to 5 genetic mutations that they could pass on. And then obviously, there's some people that don't have any. I myself have been very blessed, of course. So when you go to a clinic, they don't test for every genetic mutation. Otherwise, if they did, especially in America, you'd probably find that they'd have even less of a donor pool to choose from. Most will cover for, and excuse me, I'll probably get a few of these wrong because I've always read studies about stuff that they test for, but I've never actually verbally heard it being said, so I'll probably get it wrong. But yes, of course, they test for cystic fibrosis, as I mentioned earlier, sickle cell disease, Fragile X, thalassemia, which is like a blood deficiency sort of disease, spinal muscular atrophy, Tash, Canavan disease, familial dysautonomia, blood syndrome, Fanconi anemia, Gaucher disease, cardiac disease, glycogen storage disease type 1A, maple syrup urine disease, molecular lipidosis type 4, and Niemann-Pick disease type A. Look, I'm not familiar. I'm not going to pretend that I'm full bottle on all of those, but they're the ones that the clinics mainly test for, the ones that they probably see as the main concern. As I said before, like today I'm going to do a 23andMe saliva collection kit. As I said, I've previously done the MyHeritage. This one's a bit more novelty. It probably tells me what type of food I'm more inclined to like and stuff like that. A lot of trivial stuff that's interesting as well. I think it's based on roughly $99 US. And then there's shipping out here as well. So it works out to be cheaper than if you were to go to a clinic, or if you're going to go through, a lot of people go, well, I like using the clinic because they do all of the testing. Well, they listed those, do the tests that, I said before. However, there's lots of genetic testing that they don't do, which, something like this will cover. I think a classic example that, most of you may be familiar with, it's going back a few years now, actually, in 2013. Everyone may remember Angelina Jolie. She had a double mastectomy and reconstructive surgery as a preemptive move to avoid cancer. She carries the faulty gene called BRCA1, which is BRCA1, which the doctors informed her she had an 87% risk of breast cancer and a 50% risk of ovarian cancer occurring within her lifetime. She also, unless she underwent that surgery that she did, obviously, and for the record, men can be carriers of this, so the donors can be carriers of this disease, which is less likely to be. Obviously, men don't have ovarian cancer and breast cancer, men can have breast cancer, but it's very low in comparison to women, obviously. But it does increase the chances of a high risk to prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer, and a slight rise in melanoma. And it's just this is just a classic example of what say $150 Australian kit for Australian dollars, sorry, can provide for you, compared to something that you go to your doctors and get the hospitals to sort out for $390 up to $550, whatever. So it does go to show now, with third-party products out there on the market, with technology now online, we're able to actually get more information about our genetics. Your genetic code will tell you more than saying, "Hey, donor, tell me about your family history." Because the whole family history is embedded in this kit. Whatever you've inherited from your parents. I mean, you might inherit your granddad may have had prostate cancer, for example. But you may have not inherited that gene. It might have got passed on to your dad, but then didn't get passed on to you, or it may have not got passed on to your dad and then obviously didn't pass on to you. So there's some genes that don't get passed on, and there's some that do. And so whether or not your granddad had a specific disease, it might not have nothing to do with you anymore, because it's didn't get passed down to your genetics. This is why something like this means so much more than just asking your donor for medical history. Or the way of the future now is these tests, because if you're worried about a donor lying, or worried about a donor holding back information, these tests are great. So look, women now are buying them for themselves and for their partner, and then they normally get one for the potential donor that they decide to get. So you're looking at $150, $300, $450 Australian, which gives you free tests. It gives you that many tests, which is cheaper than what you'd pay for just one test at a clinic or at a hospital here in Australia. So, and as I said, you get so much more genetic information than you would, and you get a website account, and you can go in and it'll break down your ancestry, lineage as well. I'm apparently 50% English, 25% Irish, Scottish, Welsh, 20% Scandinavian, and 5% Iberian through my genetic code, which changes based on people uploading their family tree and their ancestral line. So they've been able to pinpoint it more and more as the database continually gets bigger. And now a lot of people worldwide have done genetic testing. I do understand that people are worried about the clinics having your information on a file, and then worried that the insurance companies may not insure you anymore and stuff like that. For me, I think that's it's a bit rubbish because they've mailed this out to me. I could have said my name is Joe Blogs, and I could do this live test as Joe Blogs, and there's no way that an insurance company would ever know that my alias is Joe Blogs. So therefore, even if they sold my information to insurance companies, poor old Joe Blogs is not going to get insured. It's not going to affect my insurance. But I don't think that is going to happen. I think that's, I think it's like 5G and other new technologies and stuff like that come through these days, where a lot of us have anxiety, worried about normality, and so anyway, let's get into this test. I'm going to do it now and send it off because I'm pretty keen to get some more results back in. Okay, so look, yeah, it's telling me hi. That's great. It's getting a bit fancy here. It's going, ooh la la. What do we have here? It's showing some of the funnel lid, the cap, and the tube. This is obviously where I'm going to provide my DNA sample, I guess. Ready, set, wait. Before you begin, please review this important information. And there's some blah 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 contents. Saliva collection kit containing 2 ml of stabilizing liquid. This product is designed for the collection of human saliva samples. The 23andMe contain if you have genetic variations or associated with certain health conditions. Blah blah blah. The laboratory may not be able to process your sample. If this happens, we will notify you and email you, okay, and give you a free replacement one. So if somehow you stuff it up, or you've had a drink, or I think they tell you, I think they tell you not to do that before, and they're telling you. So anyway, let's go. Let's get started. It's telling me to download the 23andMe app. I'm not going to do that now, because no one wants to see me sitting on the phone doing that. But then it just says no app, no worries. Follow these 8 easy steps to get started. So you can register your kit. I won't do that now. No food or drink for 30 minutes. I have not had any food or drink done. I can't chew gum, brush teeth, or smoke as well. And don't remove the plastic film from the funnel lid. Do not stop or change any course of treatment or medication prior to collecting your spit. Okay, spit into the funnel. Ooh, this is going to be quite gross to watch, but I'm going to make you do it. Spit into the funnel until the amount of liquid saliva, not bubbles, reaches the fill line here. Okay, so there's going to be a fill line. Let's have a see what's going on here. This is this kit here. It comes in. I'm going to open it up. Alright, so I might go back instructions here, because this is obviously your funnel. It's got your water level. It's got something here though. I think this is where you put your final put in before you send it off. Let's flip back to the ooh la la page. This is the funnel, cap, and tube. Alright, okay, yep, so this is your funnel where you spit, and obviously you take this off and then you put your lid on after that. And, ooh, fill 2. Okay, so it's got all that there, so fill 2. Now I'm back up to speed. The other one, I think, my heritage one off memory was a swab test, and you kept swabbing it. This one wants your actual saliva. So obviously, I'm up to fill line, spit in the funnel until the amount reaches the fill line shown here. Okay, holding the tube upright, close the funnel lid by firmly pushing on the lid until you hear a click. The liquid in the lid will be released into the tube to mix with the saliva. Make sure that the lid is closed tightly. Okay. Problem is I haven't been able to drink now, so I've got the dries. I hope I've actually reached the limit here, because that's... No, I've still got heaps to go. Jeez. It does seem like it's going to be a struggle. No, I'm not even halfway yet, and I feel like I haven't got any saliva left. Right, I think you've seen enough of me doing it. I might stand up and do it. All right. Oh, geez. That was actually quite a challenge. As you can see, I filled it now just above the line. And so, yeah, I'm going to hold the tube upright, closing the funnel lid. Now we've heard that, oh no, to close. Well, it's not really clicking in there, is it? To hear a click. The liquid in the lid. Okay, so there's liquid in the lid. Okay, so yeah, the liquid in the lid's now mixed with it. I was wondering why I wasn't closing. So now it's actually more. It's mixed with that. The liquid in the lid will be released into the tube and mixed with the saliva. Make sure the lid's closed tightly. Okay. Screw on the cap. Continue to hold the tube upright. Unscrew the funnel from the tube and discard. Okay, so we've now got this by itself. The funnel is now removed. Use the cap to seal the tube and shake for 5 seconds. So now it's turned into this. I'm going to shake it for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, and I'm nearly done now. Now place the cap in the cap tube into the plastic bag containing the absorbent pad and the seal. Do not remove the absorbent pad from the bag. Okay, so in here, like this. Opened it up at the top, chucked it in. Okay, do not remove absorbents, shipping the box. So I've got to pull this off here, I think, as well. Do I, or do I? Does it seal somehow? I'm actually... Absorbent pad seal. Do not remove the absorbent pad from the bag. Okay, so I don't think it actually... Now it's in here, I don't think it's any way of doing it. Okay, so return the sealed plastic bag to the original box, peel the strip and seal the box. Okay, so here's, I'll put it back in the original box. Here's the peel heel sticker. And the shipping has been prepaid, so you can save on your stamps. Okay. And then yeah, it goes in this bag here. And it's and then yeah, I'll seal this bag up. No one needs to see me seal this bag up. But that's it. It's done. It's I would like to say it was easy, but with a little bit of dramatization, it was actually and not being very hydrated, I guess, was actually a challenge to fill up the thing. But I got there in the end, so it's not the end of the world. It wasn't too bad. And I hope you fast forwarded that part because no one needed to see me spit for like 2 minutes and fast forward. But I think this clarifies about genetic testing, how easy it is to do, to get sent off. You know, you can get the order you can get free orders in your name, and you could even say your donor's name's Joe Bloggs if he's worried about, infecting his insurance and stuff like that. And you can give him the sample and send it away, and then obviously he'll have the results back there as well. So it's actually quite an easy way of doing things. It's quite the modern day now of doing family history. It's a lot cheaper than going through a clinic or going through the hospital and doing it that way. And it gives you the health history of all parties involved in creating a child. So I think that pretty much sums it up. And this is why I wanted to do the video, just so people understand that there is other options out there than having to go to the clinic to get real medical history, and also, and just shows how simple it is and cost effective as well. So anyway, that's enough for now. I'll obviously start doing a few more videos, I think, in the future, explaining certain elements, but the idea is of going through stuff like this it's pretty important, and I feel that, now that you've listened to it and heard me blabbing on and seen me spit, you can walk away with a bit of insightful information that you'll be able to use, and hopefully that makes it a bit more easy, the process of picking a donor and going down the donor path. So also, once donors have done the test before, then obviously their results are always going to be there, and they're always going to know their results. So for future recipients as well, I feel I paid for my own DNA testing, genetic testing myself. If you're using a donor and he hasn't had testing done before, he may be happy to pay for his own testing for his own peace of mind, but essentially, as the donor, they're providing a free service, and it's your child. You'll be raising that child. So ideally, it's your child that you'll be bringing up with any potential genetic conditions and stuff like that you want to ensure yourself, so you may have to pay for it. But that's what happens at the clinic as well. You got to pay for all the information and the donor information that you get as well. So all those costs do get passed on. So on here, it's more of a cheaper experience. Stuff like that will cost you money if you something that it worries you or bothers you, or you want the best for your child, and stamp out all that, any risk to them. So it helps them ensure having a long-term life, and I think these 23andMe's and MyHeritages now, they also say if you're prone to have heart disease or lung disease, or you're more chance of being obese, or there's a lot of trivial stuff as well that breaks down like so much information now. It's actually that's why I did the 23andMe one now, because I'm actually more interested in the novelty side of things, than because I already know I got my genetic genes covered. So that's why I'm doing the other one. And also, being on a database as well, your siblings can match with your DNA and the donor's DNA, and then any other siblings he's helped, they can link up and be part of a genetic code a register as well. So if you're looking for siblings in the future, you can, obviously, if you're on one of these platforms that your donor's on, then obviously then the children will be on it as well, and then you can actually find siblings and stuff like that. So there's so many array of options that this opens up, doing one of these genetic testing online. And yeah, I think that's enough now. I think I've covered it all. And if you're still listening, yeah, thanks. I really like to help out and give the right information out there for people so they can make a proper formal decision moving forward. And yeah, I'll see you around.